Hi there.
Mari, how are you? I guess not so good. That was a big blindside.
Yeah, you're telling me.
uh,
I still feel like I was sniped.
yeah, at Gold Derby we do predictions, and you were actually one of the top two, you and Adam, that we thought would win this season.
There was a lot of hope out there on the internet, and man, I really appreciate all the support. And you know, I usually stay off of the forums because I'm afraid of what they might say. But you know, I perused the other day because I was curious, and I was enough point in my life. And I'm like, I hate myself. I'm gonna go do it. That I started looking, you know, all around Reddit and all these things and all these different forums, and I was.
Can you repeat that last part? You're breaking up a little.
So sorry. Is this better here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually got the courage to look on online forums to see, you know, how people felt about me, and the amount of support and hope that I would make it to the end was extremely humbling. And I'm so sorry to disappoint so many people.
One thing you said, you know, after you were voted out and you were doing your little interview, you said it hurts. And I want to know what specifically hurt the most. Was it the blind side or the betrayal or just the fact that you were out, you know, in second?
It's a mixture. It hurts that I feel like I failed. And for me, that hurts the most. I feel like I failed, you know, the relationships that I could have nurtured on the island. I feel like I failed not seeing something coming and being too naive and deflecting things that might have been giant signals for me to say, oh, you know what, I might be in danger tonight. I should probably try to fix things. Yeah, it just felt like the biggest failure. And that is what hurt.
We do have a fan question from Mindy in Winlock. She wants to know about your comment about how Hannah is probably only talking about puppies. And watching that back, do you think that may have tipped Hannah over the edge into voting you out?
I don't think it was that comment that tipped her over the edge. No, I don't believe that. I think that she would have voted the way she voted regardless if the conversation was stopped or not. And honestly, she voted in a way that put her in a good position for the coming days. For the short term run, you know, she's not in the bottom at the moment. So it put her in a good place. I mean, honestly, if she's smart enough to realize that she is at the bottom of that particular Triforce alliance, even though there's four people and they're calling themselves a Triforce, it doesn't make sense. But yeah. For the short term, she put herself in a good position, and I think that was good gameplay on her part. Since she was, you know, since it was revealed to her at Tribal of the way the votes were going to go. But as far as my comment goes, you know, I look back and instead of going aggressive and just forthright with it, I didn't ask the question, what's going on? You know, I didn't ask Hannah straight up, hey, what are you talking about? And I do have, you know, deep regrets about that. I wonder, you know, would that have made a difference? Would she have said, this is what's happening, your name is being written down tonight? And then I would have been able to rebuttal. So I have deep regrets about that. Instead of taking charge and being aggressive about it, I deflected, and I was naive enough to think that I was saving Hannah from, you know, this spotlight that was being put on her for being, you know, strange at tribal council and talking. You know, she's already pretty nervous and neurotic, you know, and being at tribal council, you know, in front of the legendary Jeff Probst, she was even more nervous, and it was almost like I was like, no, leave her alone. Like she's already nervous. She's probably just, talking to the people around her to get some comfort for being in that spot at Tribal in general. And so I deflected the conversation, and that was a huge mistake on my part.
And this whole Misfits versus Kool Kidz rift in your tribe, how did this start, and why do you think you were the one that was kind of singled out to go home first?
I mean, that's interesting. The Freaks and Geeks started because it was so apparent that the Triforce were, just the pretty popular kids. And I, in that sense, I think we all kind of reverted back to being in high school. And, high school Mari is a socially awkward outcast. And unfortunately, I reverted back to that instead of like full-blown adult Mari who's like, oh, let's take control of these situations. Why I was voted out as far as that goes, maybe I was, looking at the conversations that Michelle was having in episode 2, I was perceived to be a strategic threat. And as much as I'd like to take that as a compliment, I find it unfortunate that so early on they took out somebody that could have helped the rest of the Millennials get to the merge.
Right. I think someone said you were too smart. It's like that's a good quality to have, being smart. I guess not in Survivor though.
I guess not. I guess don't look smart in Survivor because you'll be second out. Yeah, I don't know. Am I that smart? I'm smart about internet stuff. I don't know.
Right.
It makes me think, like, why do you think I'm smart? Like, I do wonder about the conversations I had, which tipped them off that I might be smart. Was I doing math problems? I was probably doing math problems. I wasn't. But, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting
let's talk about
the smallest conversations on the island, people infer different things from the tiniest things that you say.
Right. And let's talk about the Cyclone last week. Rachel told me that the Gen X tribe was taken to a room with no furniture and just concrete floors. And she made a joke that since you guys are the Millennials, you were probably all taken to your parents' homes. So I want to know, where were you guys taken during the Cyclone?
Oh, we were taken to the same, cement box that they were taken to. But we had a great time. It was, we got to roll around on the ground, and there were no fire ants going up our underwear, so that was a huge win. And we weren't rained on for 12 hours like the night before, so all of us were like, this is better than anything. We're not going to get electrocuted tonight since most of us were sleeping in puddles the night before with lightning around us. So, like, we all, our tribe saw it as a win. Anything to get us out of the rain, and out of the danger of being in a cyclone was good news to us, and I think all of us were very grateful. We were in the same cement box they were in.
Oh, so you were like mingling together, or were you separated?
We were babysat the entire time, so that there was no gameplay talk, and so that there would be no progression of the story. We were able to talk about, things that you would talk about on an airplane. So basically the weather and how you're feeling in that moment.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. And then one last question. Seeing Paul being taken down by heat exhaustion, that was very frightening to watch on TV. And I'm wondering, did you have any medical emergencies or any injuries out there?
We were all bruised and cut up and being eaten alive by insects, but that's just a norm. That's a norm on Survivor. We had a couple of dehydration scares on our side. I think almost simultaneously as when Paul went down, actually. And so I think both tribes were pretty exhausted from the heat and dehydration at that point. But by no means did any of our tribe mates go through anything like what Paul went through.
Right. Well, Mari, thank you so much for talking to us. You did not disappoint your fans. We had a lot of fun watching you.
Thank you. Very much
All right.
appreciate that.